learn their third grade math, and they don't have a quality teacher, they don't have a quality time, they can't learn their fourth grade math. And then the whole brick wall is broken. When we talk about solutions, we really need to focus on the continuum. I mean, so much of what I think the point we're at now is that we're focusing on individual points. And certainly to have a continuum of excellence, we need individual strong points. But we have weaknesses and we have breakdowns. And if you look at some of the mapping of some places that they do have the early processes, but it doesn't continue all the way through the high school to college preparedness. We as legislators can do more. But one of the things that we as legislators need to do is we need to motivate not only the people in this room, but the people who are not in this room today. I know people who are volunteering and involved, in bringing their professional skills to particular daycare centers. I know there's a daycare center that, that I did visit and I went to, and I knew that, the people were trying well, but didn't have the skills there requisite to really run it administratively. And if you can't run it well administratively, then that impacts the ability to receive the funding and be able to operate appropriately. So I know these people who, for example, I'm a finance person, and these people came in with their skills and they administratively straightened out this particular learning center. And now it's on good foundation, and now they're getting all the funds that they're entitled to. If you're not operating administratively well at the local level, at the school level with good intelligence and good people running it, then the problem is you're not going to get the funding that's available to you. But we need to, you're involved. This is your business. This is your life. This is your passion. You believe in this. But we need to bring more people in to understand what's going on. And they don't have to be in the same roles as you, but they need to understand the continuum of the process. They need to be involved. We can get a lot more people involved in the process and make the whole process better. But we've got to focus, yes, on the individual points. We've got to focus on the entire process. That's what's really important.
Thank you. Okay, Legislator Myers, thank you.
No, you had it.
You had it.
There you go.
It's on. You try. I'll speak really loud.
Yes,
The answer to Madison's question, in my opinion, is absolutely not. We are not, I don't know where Madison went, we are not nearly doing enough. And I think Westchester County is actually moving in a very downward spiral in terms of supporting quality childcare and access to child care. We had been on a very good track a couple of years ago, I believe, by spending more county property tax dollars on early childhood quality education and access to quality education. We have pulled way back on that. We have put far more of a burden on parents to be able to afford their access to child care. We have parents who are actually quitting their jobs, losing their jobs because they're afraid that their children are in poor quality child care. And as a mother, as a parent, I can't tell you how terrible it feels when you know that you may be putting your children into something that is substandard. And this county can and should do much better, and I hope that moving forward we will begin to see the error of our ways and put more money where
If I could, Madison, thank you very much for the question. I'm actually going to part answer your question and part your sister Mackenzie's. I think the two are related. The reality is that working families have less time, I think, nowadays to figure out all their child care options. And this is a very important reality in the modern world. We have less time for lots of things, and it's important as child care is. You can't put enough time to figuring out the right place for your children. And so one of the things that I think is crucial is that we make it easier for parents to understand the options that they have in front of them. That's why I'm very proud that led by our colleague in the Assembly, Amy Paulin, but I know all of us have signed on, we want to see a Quality Star rating program for child care facilities here throughout the state, but particularly here in Westchester, because giving parents all that more information, they don't have the great jobs sometimes that we have the privilege of being able to visit some of these facilities and getting a sense of some of them. I worry as much about what places aren't inviting us to come and see what's going on there. And but the reality is parents often are sending their children to places that aren't as good as they could be, and we need to be making it all the more easy for them to be able to find what is working and rewarding those programs accordingly. Thank you so much.
Move on.
Oh, wait.
One more. I'm sorry, Allison.
That's all right, go ahead.
Thank you. So childcare is actually an issue that I've been involved with for a very, very long time. Like Assemblywoman Galiff, I started as a volunteer working on increasing regulations for home childcare centers right when the TANF rules changed, and I worked, and that's actually how I got to meet Assemblywoman Galiff, was working on with the state on some to improve the quality of childcare in our home childcare centers. I also volunteered for the Mount Kisco Daycare Center and the Ossining Children's Center. I've worked with them for a very long time. So I have I've seen a lot of childcare programs. It's an area that's of particular interest to me. Mainly because I think not only in Westchester County, as my colleague legislator Myers said so eloquently, but I think everywhere, this is a huge investment that we need to make as a nation in our earliest child care, in our earliest childhood education, because frankly, we're already falling behind educationally than other countries that make this level of investment. I know that there's a lot, obviously we're always competing for scarce resources. I think that is just the reality that we live in, but even not only for the social benefit of taking care of our youngest, most vulnerable citizens, and how that leads to a better and more prosperous future for everyone. But really on an economic basis, even if you're a finance guy, the most hard-headed economic analysis, many years of this, shows that dollars invested in early childhood education, in high-quality child care, pays off in the long run in less money invested in drug abuse, in teen pregnancy, in truancy, in homelessness, in prison terms later on. It goes on and on and on. This is not new information. We've known this for 20 years. So I think in Westchester, I'm committed to devoting more resources to this. And frankly, I'm committed to advocating at the state and federal levels that we see a huge push of our resources into this. It's an investment that we can't afford not to make in our future.
Thank you very much. We're going to have a hard time, I can see, keeping on task, but I do appreciate everyone's response. I do want to recognize Chuck Lesnick, who's the president of the Yonkers City Council, has joined us. Thank you very much. Okay, and our next question will come from Ashley Monroe.
Hello, good morning. My name is Ashley Monroe, and I live in Mount Vernon, and I go to Mount Vernon High School, and I'm a senior. My question is, do more rules make a safer school, and are really strict security guards or police a good idea in schools? Thank you.
After the school security question. Go ahead.
Once again, this is proving a technological challenge. Okay, thank you. You know, this is an issue that I have actually thought a lot about, because in my prior role, I was the town supervisor of the town of Ossining, and we funded a school resource officer in one of the schools. Because of the crazy way that our school districts are set up, our schools are in 2 municipalities in the Ossining School District, the Village of Ossining and the town of Ossining. And we got a lot of questions, and the town board is continuing to get a lot of questions about whether or not that's a worthwhile expense. And one thing I will say is we want our schools to be creative, warm, welcoming places. We don't want our schools to be on lockdown all the time. But I will say that the presence of a school officer, someone who was a police officer, so he was armed, created an atmosphere of trust between that officer and the students in our middle school. It was a middle school. And it also provided an opportunity for the students to interact with a police officer in a way that was healthy, that was positive. It really improved this. man who was our school resource officer was a wonderful person who really understood education and understood children at that level, at that age development, and how there's a lot of different things going on in one's life when one is in middle school. It's a challenging time. But he was really able to help children to make good decisions because he existed as a resource, a safe place. So I think it's a delicate balance. I think you do have to have people who can immediately stop a situation if it's starting to escalate, but I also think the real reason to have police officers in schools is really to create that atmosphere of trust. Also, our school resource officer was able to head off some situations that might have gotten very bad because students felt that he was a trustworthy person and would tell him if there was going to be, for example, a party because some parents weren't home. That information came through our school resource officer, and we were able to circumvent some bad situations from happening. So, I think that a school should always be a place of learning, a place where students feel comfortable, but there is also an opportunity to work collaboratively with law enforcement to create a safer place that goes beyond just horrible tragedies like school shootings, but also creates a safe place for our students.
Anyone else to respond to that question?
I'll just add are we on and off?
Hello.
You're on.
Yes, thank you.
I do think there should be rules in schools, if that's one of your earlier questions. I think we've probably been much more lax in our educational community about standards in our schools and what we expect of our kids, whether it's dress, whether it's behavior, what is tolerated, and so on. So I think we always have to work on that aspect of it all. But the other is the governor has put in the budget. I can't remember how many billions it is. It's not a huge amount, but to enable our school districts to work with the state on trying to provide a safer situation within our schools. And there is some money there to assist with some of our schools with making sure that they are safer. Whether it's mechanic buttons, whether it's the way the doors are developed. I don't think it's about having police resources, which probably is more on a local level, that they will decide whether to do that or not. I was just trying to think that students need to report what they hear. I mean, they always tell us that if they're getting a text or some kind of communication out there, we've got to, all of us have to learn how to do this. We have to report things that we see without feeling that we're incriminating somebody. But so we have to have places within the schools that people can reach out and feel safe about doing it. Because often people do know about things that might happen well ahead of time, but just haven't reported it. So that's a part of a process that as adults, as students, whatever, we need to report things that are happening that might escalate as we go forward. So, and within the schools, I think there can be student body groups that get together to try to figure out what might be best for their school and how they can do it. So I would encourage students to pull together, and their teachers and principals and so on, to figure out a game plan for that individual school and what works, because every school is very, very different.
I think that's a good point. I know Ashley is a member of the Westchester Youth Council, which takes on many issues and discussions. And to Legislator Berger's point, I think it has to be the right person in the right school. That relationship is key. It certainly is safety of students is so timely and in the news that I'm sure there'll be more discussion of that. Thank you. Yes, Senator Otis.
One little addition to that, because of the recent incidents around the country, there is such a heightened concern about safety of school facilities by parents, by school boards. Understand one of the dynamics is this is a pressure, a new added pressure on local school budgets, that school districts are right now struggling to try and find how they can do adequately about improved security and yet fit within a very difficult, tight budget environment.